Good evening. Demon Phil, Comics and More New Jersey, here back with yet another interview for you. The comic industry as it is in a whole, there's a lot of things going on. Indies are making a huge push, and you're starting to see a lot more passion in the indies throughout the artists. And my guest tonight is not an exception to this. We're going to get a lot more in detail what he does and what he offers in there. But we're going to talk to him, get to know his products, show you where you can get them, show you where you can contact him, and then we're going to go through the process and see if we got any questions or anything like that you want to shoot out to him at a later date. We can definitely do that. Or you can message me and I can try to find out some things. Either way, we'll get some things taken care of. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Adam Fields.
Hey, Phil.
Hey, what's going on, Adam? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, I appreciate you being here, buddy. So I've been kind of going through and I won't say I'm picky on who I'm bringing in here, but I have said before that those who put the passion into their work and everything they're doing and the work and put forth the effort, those are the ones that I'll push and try to help along as well. It's just one of those things that it's the ethics of it, so to speak. So I will say that I met you at the online con a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. And you had a lot of great information. But there was one thing that particular caught my attention, and we will get into that here in just a little bit. But first of all, we want to go ahead and start into this. Adam, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm actually an independent illustrator for comic books and book covers and really anything else that people need. I also do graphic design a little bit here and there, but I'm based out of Ohio. I've been doing graphic design and this type of work professionally for 15 years. But I've been drawing since I was 3 years old. Ever since I could hold a pencil, my dad took me over to his uncle's house. They sat me down because he just wanted to show a little sketch. He drew a steam engine, and it looked like it was like driving right off the page. So I was hooked. So ever since then, I just had to do it.
Well, I mean, that shows true passion right there, because at 3 years old, I mean, that shows you just definitely had the passion instilled in you right at the beginning, and you've just been progressing with it the whole time.
Oh yeah. I literally took art all through school. I quit band and a bunch of other stuff just to pursue art because at 3 years old, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. You know, I did some sports and stuff throughout school, but my heart was really in creating. I would choose sitting down at a desk and just putting stuff on paper versus anything.
Well, that's great. And I mean, it definitely shows in your work as well. Now, I've prepared a few questions that we'll go over tonight. I like to go ahead and go through them, but I like to go ahead and just get as much information as possible that we can go through with on that.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm going to ask you a few questions. The first one, and a lot of people would ask this too, what was your big break into the industry?
So my big break happened on Instagram. I was actually going live. I was just doing is when the Power Ranger movie was coming out. I was drawing one of the new suit Rangers live just for fun, and someone had asked me on the chat, said, "Do you draw zombies?" And I said, "Yeah, I've been doing commission work, and I was working on my title at the time." And they asked it, I'm expecting them to want me to zombify something, Batman, Superman, something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, yeah, hit me up afterwards. I'll get with you and we could talk about it. They actually ended up wanting me to illustrate a full book for them. They were actually based out of Spain. It was called Zombie Office. And that was the first real publishing gig that I had. It was an independent deal, but it was the first real time I'd worked with somebody other than myself.
Right, absolutely. And that's odd that they would ask for something so off the wall like that off of a Power Ranger setup, but look at where you are now, and it's just kind of set that up.
Yeah. I love the chance to be able to talk to aspiring artists and people who are wanting to do this, because the biggest questions I get is how do you find jobs? Where do you get these? And my answer is always, you're never ever going to find an Indeed's job posting or a Monster ad or anyone who's advertising. The most you'll find are people on Facebook groups saying, "Hey, I need an illustrator," and even half of those are probably false leads. So you really have to put yourself out there. One of the biggest breaks that I had actually gotten in my career was with the Upper Deck Company, and I almost deleted the email because I thought it was spam. So yeah, it's true. I was at Cincinnati Comic Expo, and I was actually doing the panel talk. And when I got back, my wife was manning my table, and she had told me that, hey, I think somebody was here that might be somebody. And I said, how do you know? And biggest tip I can give out is you don't know who's across the table, because they're not going to wear a scout shirt saying, I work for so and so, because then you're going to be on your best behavior. They want to see you in your realist and true self. And they also want to see what you have to offer, and they also want to see you're not ripping them off. That's one of the biggest things. But when I came back, she had said, well, this guy, he looked through literally every single thing and then walked away. And that's not uncommon.
Right.
So she goes, but the weirdest thing is he's been back 2 times since you've been back, and he hasn't said anything. And she goes, I just watched him sneak a business card off the table and just walk away. He never said a word. So about 2, 3 weeks later, I received an email, and it said Upper Deck Marvel Premiere. And I was like, well, this is obviously the Nigerian prince of nerds, because this isn't going to happen. And I almost deleted it, but it had a lot of legitimacy in the email. And so I researched it. I made a few phone calls, and turns out it was a real deal. And that was like the first time that I'd been able to put my name on something mainstream, such as Marvel. And to this date, I think I've done over 500 cards for them.
And from what I've seen on the work, it looks amazing. I actually have your shop on here on my other screen, and I was looking through there, and whenever you scroll down toward the bottom and you start seeing the Upper Deck cards and everything,
Mhm.
of course we're going through your current works and some of your other things too, and we're fixing to talk about that. But to see that you're attached to doing the Upper Deck things, they don't just go around and do a lottery and just pull anybody out of nowhere to do that.
No, no, they're, especially on Marvel Premiere, it's their the best, because I think that's one of their most expensive sets that they sell, and they are geared towards collectors because it's a premium set. Because I believe you get 2 pieces of original art. You get a base card that has one character that's listed on the card, and then you get a topper that's either a double panel, triple panel, quadruple panel, or a 5x7. So I mean, and it's all original art. And then you get limited and edition die cut cards or Renaissance cards, different things that they offer. So I mean, for a collector side, they're premium, so they're going to want to bring their best of the best. And let me tell you from experience, um, it's not 100% guaranteed that you even get the job. You do the work, they send it. If they don't feel like you're up to par, they will veto it. And I've actually had a full set completely rejected, and there was no reason why. It just didn't make the cut, which kind of hurt, but that's the name of the game. There may have been somebody that they thought was better tiered. So yeah, I had the 500 approved, but this one project full reject. You just have to roll with the punches.
Exactly. And whenever you're dealing with the rejections, I mean, you can't just take it as I shouldn't be in this business anymore. You're just like, okay, I'll take that as a criticism and I will move on and change some things.
Yeah, I that's one of the biggest things that I've taken away. I get asked all the time, to be an artist, do you have to go to art school? Do you have to go to college to do this? And the short answer is no. Okay, the short answer is you don't have to you know get that skill set, but it really does help. And it's helped me with the publishing side of things. It's helped me with the professionalism. It's helped me know the lingo of what printers and people in the industry that may have that degree. Because in the end of the day, I've never been asked for a resume. Nobody has
Mhm.
ever asked me, well, what's your credentials? They want to see the work. But when they work with you that first time, that's going to determine whether or not they're going to keep coming back because of the experience. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I totally am all for education. The biggest thing that I've ever walked away with was learning how to take criticism. So our teachers and instructors would rip us apart on something we thought was beautiful. They would tear us completely apart on it, and it's thickened our skin. So when I did get that letter or that email, I look at it, I'm like, oh, that sucks, and then I move on.
Exactly.
You can't let it defeat you, because you're not going to please everybody.
Exactly. And you talking about moving on with that with your current works that you've got,
Oh yeah.
because you introduced me to Prowl.
Hmm.
That was whenever you were on the online con and you were showing your things you had. Of course, you had Prowl, you had the Zombie Office, and you had another book over there that we'll be talking about here shortly. I'm saving that for a reason. Prowl got my attention because how many werewolf books are there out there? I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
So how many
Yeah.
times are you going to open up a book and you're actually going to go, you know what? I've seen werewolf books. I'm going to go ahead and close it up. I'm done. Yeah, I own it, but it's okay. Or how many times do you open it up and you actually go, that's it? That's all I have? Where's the next book? Come on, let's go. We keep this going.
Hmm.
The latter is what happened. Uh, actually, Adam sent me the first few episodes on, or first few issues on there,
Hmm.
and I have taken the time to go ahead and read through. I believe it's issue 3. I'm not going to get into details, and I am not going to reveal anything by any means. I will say this: that the artwork is on par, so that's a definite right there. The panels actually engage you and have so much fluid motion in there that they actually kind of push you in the direction of going to the back of the book, so you can't close it up. I mean, you have to finish it up whenever you're reading it. The storyline is great, and then the intensity is there, but it's not vulgar, if that makes any sense. So you're not going for the gore factor. You're not going for that solid horror book. But keep in mind, this is not a children's fairy tale book either.
Mm-mm. No, no. I aim for that teen rating. Okay, I use language, but not to the extreme. I'm not Negan from The Walking Dead extreme. You know, but and as for the gore and violence, I have worked on a few horror-based comic books where it's all straight gore. One was for Antarctic Press called Leave on the Light. Um, it's straight gore, but for my own property, I wanted something that was tastefully done, and if it was going to have violence or say a little bit of bloodshed, it's going to have a purpose, not just for the sake of having that shock factor. It's going to be something that moves the story forward. Is it going to impact the person who attacked or was attacked, or how is this going to tie into the overall plot of the story?
Exactly. And you bringing up the plot is great too, because that actually leads into my next thing is only going through the first 3. It doesn't get stale. I mean, it continually builds, and we're going along with this. Now, does this I know there's 7 issues I think that are available.
Yes.
Is it finished at 7, or are you planning on going forward with this, or what are we doing?
So this is actually going to be an ongoing series. I
Okay.
have a definitive end that I want to reach eventually, but we're going to have fun until we get there. Now, I'm currently working on adjusting the way that I'm releasing books. As an independent, this is where the business side has to weigh against the collector side. Okay, and it's a big struggle for me because I want to be able to please everybody, and I know I can't. So,
Right.
as you mentioned, I have 7 issues out. It's taken me almost 3 years to get those 7 issues out since
Right.
releasing issue 1. I was real wet behind the ears when I dove in, and I my background's marketing, but sometimes you get that eager and you shoot early, and you know, you try to play catch up, and that's what we did with 7. There was a big delay on 7, almost a year delay, just because of other projects that came in. A lot of some personal issues came up, and then I also rewrote the script because it wasn't as powerful as I wanted. So 7 was actually completely redone almost from page 5 on. Okay. So I have all the old scripts too, and I'll use them eventually for something else. But yeah, you know, for what I want to do for the future is, instead of releasing a single issue at a time, I'm actually going to be going to the Netflix approach, where I release a graphic novel once a
Okay.
year, along with possibly 1 to 2 tie-in books. Okay,
Hmm.
so you're going to get the full season, if you will. Here it is, read it at your leisure. But no, there's only going to be 1 for the year, and then I'm also going to release something tie-in. Now, for the collector side of things, I like variant covers. Okay, I love being able to pick, so right now one of my favorite artists is Freddie Williams the third. I love his take on Batman and Ninja Turtles, and
Mhm.
every time the story came out, I always grabbed his covers. And if my shop had put somebody else's cover in, I'd take it out, go find it, and swap it. And said, always have his. So I'm a big fan of variant covers. Now I have finally got smart, okay, and brought on a team. I have an
Mhm.
inker and a colorist, Rich Jones, who is phenomenal at inking. He has a really close style to mine, so I trust him with when I send it. And then Adam Blackwell, who's a local guy to me, who he digitally paints beautifully. So I wanted to see what he could do under my line art. So we worked on 7 together for the first time, and it was beautiful. It came together so smoothly. So that's going to be the Prowl team going forward. What I want to do is offer them guys also an opportunity to have a cover each. So when we release the book, not only is it going to have the first variant, but you're also going to have a cover for each guy, and each book is going to be 100 pages, or it's going to be 96 pages of art, and then a couple of pages of some some sketches or some background info, behind the scenes stuff that is just extra. So those are going to be the format going forward.
Very nice. Now, whenever you're going to be putting these up for sale, are you thinking about using the Kickstarter Indiegogo market to do that, or are you planning on going straight online? What are you doing?
So I'm actually in the process of pricing things, and talking with my current printer on if he's able to handle that and how he wants to do orders and stuff. Personally, I like the route of Kickstarter. I've been on some successful ones. I've been on some failed ones, but I feel if I'm the one managing the goal and the campaign, I'm going to be able to sort of drive the sales. Whereas if I'm a part of a team, I have to sort of lean on whose project it is to get it funded.
Right.
So, and I can only do so much from my end. And when I've exhausted my following, and it still doesn't pull through, it's kind of defeating. So where I know where I'll need to set a goal and stuff. So I think doing a campaign through Kickstarter is probably going to be our route. But I can promise to anyone who ever backs a Kickstarter, you're actually just know the book's going to be over halfway done, if not almost completely done, before we launch a Kickstarter. Because I know
Yes.
what it's like to wait. I've backed a couple of them currently. I'm still waiting for stuff. I'm not frustrated, but it's just something in my mind like, okay, I would like to see what I've supported, but being in the industry, I kind of get it. But know that whenever I launch a Kickstarter, it's going to be almost done.
Exactly. And see, being classified on Kickstarter as what's called a super backer,
Hmm.
uh, I didn't even know that was a thing until they popped that
I had
badge on
no
me.
idea.
And then whenever they did that, of course, that's when my girlfriend goes, "Yeah, that's way too much." But it's one of those things where I take it as, yes, I've gotten some really great stuff, and yes, I have backed a lot and all, but I'm actually gaining information as well. And you're right, because whenever you see that ready to print, I'm telling you, that right there is a seller, especially for people like me in the super backer thing, because I don't have to wait 6 months to a year to get my product. I can wait maybe a few months. I'm okay with that. Sometimes it's just a month.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want. We're in such a mindset nowadays, thanks to Amazon and order online. I mean, we're able to order food now and have it dropped off at our door. So we're in that we want it, we buy it now, we want it now mindset.
Yes,
So
we
I
do.
kind of I want to feed into that. I want to make sure that, okay, I don't want anyone ever disappointed in my work. I don't want anyone to ever wait on something that they paid for. Just like when I take commissions, I only take certain amount of commissions paid up front. You're going to get it within a week or two, because that's I want it off my plate first and foremost. And you paid for it, you deserve what I have to offer. And if there is a delay, I absolutely communicate all that to you guys.
And see, it is perfect timing that you bring that up, because I actually have that on my screen behind here. Is the next thing that I was going to talk about is your original art,
Hmm.
because I'm looking at it here, and I had to get a drool rag whenever I was looking at this earlier, because this is some beautiful work here. Uh, I, you do pretty much everything. I'm not seeing anything on here that shows that you stick to one particular style or a certain genre or anything. It looks like pretty much anything. So if someone wants to get some artwork done and do a commission through you, what are the parameters? Is it like a one person shot on there? Do you charge more for the background? I mean, what do you kind of look at with that?
So right now, I have started steering away from doing personal likenesses. I find those to be a little trickier because if it's someone's family member and they're super close to them, I can only get so much info off of pictures. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you send me a grainy photo of your grandma, I can't. That's all I got to go off of. So I'm gonna have to guess. So I
Right.
basically stick to one character, a mainstream character if possible, and it could be from a video game, it could be from a movie, it could even be from a book series if you want my take on it. I've actually had people want to do my take on Peter the Rabbit and my take on Beauty and the Beast. So it's really fun when you sort of let the artist sort of have fun with it. But it's normally one character. I offer blank covers, which I have a full inventory on my art page, and I try to keep that as live as possible. Or I can do a 9 by 12, or I do 11 by 17, or I do sketch cards. I have a bunch of different variation of sketch cards where it's some are mine. I have zombie office sketch cards, or I have Prow sketch cards if you want one of those. So those are sort of what I offer. I do charge extra for background, and if you want a homage, that does fall under that custom background.
Right.
Just because I have to adhere to something, and it sort of takes away that freedom. But normally, if it's a one figure commission, you're going to get sort of a cool looking background. I offer pencil, ink, or color finishes, so it depends on what you want. Um, I try to bend everything to what you guys want in the end, because ultimately it's your piece. And if there's a certain style that you like, I have a hard time with anime. I'm not gonna lie. I can't manga. It's so simple. I can't do it. But I will do my best if there is a manga piece that that somebody wants. But other than that, it's really open. I take orders through Facebook right now, or you can message me on my art page. I do have a form on there, but I've found it's kind of clunky, so I'm trying to redo the way I take orders through my website. But right now through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
Oh, absolutely. And just so everybody knows, I mean, I'm looking just through the shop page right now at the artwork on here, and we're talking about, everybody says, okay, do a Batman, do a Spider-Man, do something like that. But I'm looking at things like there are characters from Godzilla on here, and I'm not talking
Mhm.
about Godzilla himself. I'm talking about the other characters that are involved, and they look phenomenal on here. And then we go to, yes, there's a Batman. There is an amazing looking Bane. Uh, and
That Bane,
then
yeah,
yeah, the Bane is that yeah, to coin the phrase that someone else uses a lot on here. I'm sorry, but I've got to say it. It is sick. I mean, it
yeah.
is just. It
You
has a
can
lot of detail, and you can feel the depth in it.
you can thank my 7-year-old for that one.
Ah,
He
okay.
was nagging me at dinner about Bane, and that's who he was for Halloween last year, was Bane, and he's like maybe 40 pounds. Okay, so but he wanted to be Bane, and as I didn't draw enough apparently that day, so I said, you know what? After dinner, I'm gonna sit down. And I'm just gonna do it. And I was doing it very sarcastically, and as I was just roughly sketching, I'm like, this actually looks kind of cool, and I just went with it. And then if you look on the page again, you'll see a Predator piece. That's from
Yes.
my 12-year-old who, I said, well, I drew one for my youngest. So what do you want? He wanted Predator. So, I try to, I do those type of things too. I
I
do
think I remember
monsters.
seeing a post that you had on Facebook that you had put on there about you had to do the Predator now because your
Yep.
other one had gotten. That's what it was now. Now it's clicking.
hmm Yeah, yeah. My kids sort of dictate. They're my little managers.
Hey, sometimes you got to do exactly what's on there, and it's amazing because yeah, we might see a My Little Pony on here pretty soon, or you may actually have one. I don't know.
So I've done My Little Pony, and it was a Spawn My Little Pony.
Interesting.
Yep, it was on a blank cover. Yep,
Okay. See, Todd could have haven't he could have had that for his 301 cover right there.
it was on a 300 cover.
Oh,
Yep,
really?
yep, yeah. And I was so excited too to get, because Spawn is like one of my favorite characters. Todd McFarlane is my top favorite artist. Then it's
Uh-huh.
like Greg Capullo, and then Jim Lee. And I was excited to actually get a Spawn blank finally. And when it got commissioned, I'm like, all right, here we go. We're going to do a Spawn or a Violator or some, the clown, something wicked. No, he wanted a My Little Pony that looked like Spawn. And I couldn't help but laugh, but I
Right.
also deep down was disappointed. I'm like, but I make it look so cool. And I was actually happy with the way it turned out, and he loved it. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Well, that kind of brings me up to my next question is, as far as your wheelhouse of what you're normally drawing and everything, what
Mhm.
takes you the most out of your wheelhouse that you've had issues with? I know you mentioned manga, but as far as your other projects that you've
Mm.
done.
So, my biggest challenges are trying not to say yes to everybody. Um, but truly it's like backgrounds. Like whenever I'm working on a comic book, it's setting the scene. I just want to get to the action. I just want to get to the dynamic pose, or the fun stuff. And then I draw the figures and I look at the background. I'm like, it's kind of bare, it doesn't look like in depth. But so backgrounds are kind of my weak spot, and I know that, and I'm working on it. But other than that, I really try to aim to do a lot of figure studies. I mean, I have a whole library of books up here that for anatomy, and you would swear I was going to medical school because I have so many, and I know muscle, how they tie in and where the tendons connect, and like names of clusters. I'm like, well, if the art doesn't work out, I've got a good start on becoming a doctor.
Hey, there you go. You can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Dr. Prowl.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, that could be a new series. You might want to trademark that one pretty quick.
I should, and I'll have to give you credit for it.
Now, let me ask you, current events, the way that they're being and everything, a lot of people are remembering, their cons that they've been to and things like that. So I want to ask you, most memorable fan situations that you've had whenever you've been at your con, like whenever a fan comes to the table or a situation or a particular experience.
So there's honestly so many, because I truly try to remember what your name is, and if you've ever gotten a commission, I try to remember what it is, because to me, you're not just a paycheck, you're not just money or something. You are a person that I value, and you're supporting me. I want to, I have to, I give thanks. Like that's what I do. There's a couple of them. One of them was actually at a Cincinnati Expo, and mom came up. She goes, "Hey, we came by a few years ago, and I'm so glad that you were here. I didn't see you here last year." Well, what I explained to her that they had flipped they always alternate the artist alley. I said I was actually on the other side, and then they put me back on the same side just to
Hmm.
mix it up. And she goes, "Oh, that's why I missed you." And she was telling her friend, she's like, "Oh, this is the guy that I said." I said, "Yeah, I drew a Magmar a Magmar, and then a Mario." She goes, "Yeah, how'd you remember?" I said, "I care, I guess." And that blew
Nice.
her mind, that I just, and it made me feel good, like that she was bringing someone over because she enjoyed what I had done for her and her kids. But it also blew her mind that I actually remembered. Um,
Absolutely.
but one of my favorites are getting to know those regulars and getting to know them, especially if I know, like, they have kids that are wanting to illustrate, and parents are desperately, because if they didn't grow up as artists, they don't know how to relate to their kid. They don't know how to um, you know encourage them. And I get asked all the time by dads and moms at I'm actually a part of an advisory board here in our area for
Hmm.
our trade school. So whenever I'm at events like with them, they ask me all the time, "Is this really a career that my kid can do?" And I know that fear because my parents lived that fear, and every parent wants their kid to thrive. So when a parent comes up and I can put their mind at ease by sort of walking their kid through something they're struggling with, different shows, I have these regulars that come up, and I have a whole short box full of blank covers that people can sift through, and if they want to commission on it. Well, there's one little girl in particular that anytime she goes through, if there's like a female book cover in there, she wants it, and I just take it, go for it. I said, the only thing is you have to show me what you draw on it. And I've watched this little girl go for about 4 years now, and it's completely blown me away at how advanced she's gotten. And I know it's not all me, but as long as I can keep feeding that passion, that means the most to me. So those are the things that I like. Is fan base. Now there are some things where I've got to meet celebrities, which is really cool. I've had the chance to work with Echo Collins, who was Mr. Terrific on Arrow. I did
Mm-hmm.
shirt designs for him and his crew, all because they liked a sketch I did at Heroes and Villains in
Mm-hmm.
Chicago. I've did some sketches for Jason David Frank from Power Rangers, and it's really cool to meet those type of people. But I'm
Absolutely.
mainly there for the fans. I want to interact with people who like Prowl, like the other books that I've worked on, or just generally just want to learn and enjoy the culture.
Oh, absolutely. The experience is the biggest part on there. I completely agree on that.
It
Now,
really
you were
is.
mentioning about the books. I
Hmm.
know that I believe you have some books there that you can show.
I
Let me go
do.
ahead and give you full screen so you can actually show them off there and kind of talk about the covers and whatnot. Give me just a moment.
There we go. All right. Don't mind our fridge there. But so this is Prowl. This is Prowl issue 1. It's the whole premise of Prowl is based in a small town. The main character is Alex Phillips. He is in this little town. He finds this mysterious stone. I know it's got a little bit of a glare. He finds this mysterious stone, and he puts it on and becomes the werewolf. So that is him. He uses it basically to become a vigilante in his little town and clean it up, because I'm based out of a small town. I can't really relate to big city life, and he's kind of a alter ego of me and the stuff that we have to deal with in small town. But the whole plot is built around where that stone come from and why does it give him power. And it's basically unearthing a deep dark history of the town that people have wanted to stay buried and lost and hidden. So that's going to be a really fun ride for when this keeps panning out. So that's issue 1. This is issue 2, and I want to show you guys a little something. And Phil, I don't know if I showed you this or not, but this is issue 2. If you notice, he's in a convenience store. My favorite part about the whole series is putting a werewolf in different locations, not just in the woods or in a church or something. It's literally in real world stuff. But I'm going to take this book out of the package because I actually have an app that you can download. Okay. And on this app, I'm going to use my phone. Okay. So got a Prowl app, and on it you can do an AR scanner, just like that. We're gonna hold this up here, and then we're gonna hit done. And then if I hold it like this, you can actually see the werewolf come to life right off the cover. And he'll howl. There is sound, but I've got it turned off for you guys. Now that works on a few of them. We are actually in the midst of revising the app right now, but that's issue 2. The app is just a new way.
That is sick. I had to
Yeah,
jump in here real quick. Yeah, you did not bring that up last time. Okay,
I
keep
was on
going, but my
short
jaw's
time.
on the
Yeah.
ground over here. I'm just letting you know.
So issue 3. Now this one is really fun because this is where the story really starts to push forward. But that's the cover. He's kind of hiding out in some woods. I absolutely love that cover. Here's issue 4. People have said that these look like skulls. I guess you have to read the story later and figure out what this pile of rocks are. I'm excited for that to come on Earth. This is going to look familiar because you guys have been looking at it the whole time, but it's actually the cover of issue 5. Okay, it's my banner. But issue 5, this was actually one of the very first pieces I've done for Prowl. Even before the series was out, this was actually an exclusive print that I did for the book release. So issue 5's cover was done well before the actual book came out. Issue 6, I'm kind of in an alleyway, cornered. Again, real focus on that stone. Then issue 7, this is what we just released, and it's what took forever to come up with. And then if you notice, these are my guys right now for Prowl, and I'm so excited to have them on. So that is Prowl. Did you guys want to see Zombie Office as well?
Yeah, let's go ahead and show them Zombie Office, because I know you said it's been a while that you've had that one and all, but that was actually your, like you said, your start, your break into it. So we definitely want to see that one.
Yep. So Zombie Office. Now, talking with these guys, again, if you notice this AR logo right here, this means it's augmented too. They also have an app, which I will open up, Zombie Office app. So let's set this over here. AR scanner. It's basically a template. We're going to back up, try to bring out the zombie. Sorry, it's kind of shaky, but there's a zombie on the cover. Theirs is a lot taller than mine. There we go. It's a lot better when it's in person because you can lay the book flat and actually see it. But what they're doing is they're actually going to be working on creating a bunch of board games and card games and interactive games for this series. So that's kind of why the book's been on pause, because we wanted to get some of the other stuff knocked out first. But if you notice, these are kind of modeled after some of the Office characters. Office is one of our favorite TV shows. But you got Creed here, you got Jim in the middle, there's Ryan, then you got Phyllis right there. So I mean, it's really fun. The story is basically about an ex-boyfriend who receives a phone call from his ex-girlfriend, who's now stuck in her office building that's flooded and infested with zombies. So this is going to be a really fun ride. I know I just got the script for the second one and I read it, and it's got a lot more action and a lot more comedy to it. So these are going to be really, really fun, and I cannot wait for that one. So,
Oh, absolutely. That looks great. Now, let me ask you a question about the AR real quick.
mm-hmm.
So the AR, does that only work on the cover, or is it inside as well on some things?
So on Zombie Office, they actually have augmented pages. So you can actually scan a couple pages and watch me color. It's a black and white book, but I gray toned it. But you can actually watch the gray toning happen. We basically use it as a DVD special commentary, kind of special features type deal. Now, for Prow, we just did the covers just because we wanted to see if we could, and it worked. And now I really want to look into it more. I want to sort of get a brain trust together and try to figure out, okay, how can we utilize this, because it's something really cool and unique that I've not seen on comic books before. And when they offered it, I thought this is it. We're going to do something completely different. And I like to show those at cons because I'm sure you said your jaw dropped. That's really fun to see because you set the book down on the table and I hand my phone to a stranger and say, "Here, hold it over the." And they hold it. Go when it starts moving. They first see it stand there, they're like, "Oh, that's cool." Then it moves and they just lose their mind.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
they hear it and howl, and the slicing is it's really really neat. And if you actually like move it around, you can actually explore the model. And he does have the chain, and he has the piercing blue eyes, and we paid really close attention to the detail. So we're really trying to innovate here to make comic books not just collectible but more interactive. So if you want to see a process of like, man, I really like this page, you can scan that page and bring it to life and see how the creator did it. The flip side of the coin is it takes a lot of time to set up a camera when we're trying to work on a deadline. I can't just set up a camera and get to work, or I'm working around the camera, which is kind of a challenge. So, really trying to facilitate how we're going to do this and pull it off. But I think in the end, it's totally worth it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's actually a newer technology too, because
Mm-hmm.
there's not many places that I've seen that have actually had that. I've only seen a couple of books, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about like novel type things, and they've had
Yeah.
that inside of the book. You can do things where it makes the words actually move. It doesn't actually have the pictures of anything because it's just the words,
Mm-hmm.
but it brings the words and the letters and everything actually start moving around, which is kind of cool looking. I've seen that kind of thing, and I've seen one other with like dinosaurs on a
Mm-hmm.
children's book deal. But for comics, I've honestly got to say, I think this is the first time I've seen it with comics. So that is something that kind of sets you apart on that, because not only is it a great story, great art, great flow to it and everything, and now you've added that to it as well. yeah, my jaw is going to drop just a little bit on that one.
Yeah, I want to give people, a best bang for their buck. I mean, it is a $5 book, which seems to be the indie standard for a comic book single issue. But for that $5, if you order it offline, I have a flat $10 shipping domestic, but you're going to get it bag and boarded, and signatures will come if you want. But I want to give you something else for your money, make it completely worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whenever I get mine, I will definitely be getting signatures, by the way. We'll go ahead and throw that out there right now.
Awesome.
Now, for those of you who have been paying attention the whole time and everything, we have been talking about Adam and what all he's done and his different books that he's got. We've talked about the 2 books. We have saved 1 book toward the end, and we've kind of done that on purpose because whenever I did meet him on the online con, this, just like you're doing right now, you're sitting there with your jaw dropped going, it can't get any better. It's about to get better, and for a very good reason on top of that. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the full screen and get you to go ahead and talk about the Sub-Zero book.
Okay. So this is probably one of the most passionate projects that I've ever been a part of. It's a company out of Cleveland, Ohio. They are called the Sub-Zero Mission. Um, it's one of the best organizations that I've ever had the pleasure of knowing, let alone working with. All technology aside and all the bells and whistles on the other books, whenever somebody walks up to my table at a con and says, okay, I have $5, what would you recommend? This. Every time. Until I'm out of inventory of this, I will continue to push this. The company is not even a comic book company. They are actually ex-military or even active military, all branches. And what it was founded by a Marine who had a passion for saving lives, and saving lives in a different sense, meaning he goes out. They actually go out into the streets of big cities or rural areas or wherever and find homeless individuals, and they don't just help them, they clothe them. Okay, there are so many organizations out there right now that feed homeless. They will go out and they offer some shelters, but let's face it, and it's a fact that or women and children first get the dibs on the shelters. So the men, we're stubborn, we're not going to seek help, we're going to they go deep in hiding, especially in these winter months. I mean, I know where I'm from, the coldest that we had was -20, and just walking from my house to my car, I couldn't stand it. And I know my truck started, it was slow start. All this, there's people that live outside in that stuff during those winter months. So these guys will go out and they will find them. They have a bus that they park and they announce that they're there, and that bus is completely loaded down with what they call the Stay Alive 5. And that's coats, gloves, boots, socks, sleeping bags, tent. I mean, you name it, they will offer up warming agents to make sure these people stay alive and survive the winter. Not only do they park a bus there, but they actually have a crew that goes out and seeks out these homeless individuals. They literally will set up camp, and that's what they're hunting for, are these homeless camps. And they want to bring them to the bus, or they want to take them something to make sure. They also will check them, make sure that they don't have hypothermia or frostbite or need medical attention. So the comic book plays in because, one, they dress just like this guy. His name is the Blue Coat Missionary, and they literally will dress in this blue coat garb. One, it keeps them warm. They actually do have I believe, a patent on one of their own coats that they can also turn into a sleeping bag. And I think we're going to address that in one of the future installment. But this is the way that they seek out. So they wanted to, bring that to light. But they are the spirit of this guy. This is Shivers. That's their battle polar bear. And together, they actually combat death. So their whole mission is to stop death, and by saving these lives. The biggest part is 1 out of 3 homeless are veterans, and that's kind of sad. I don't think it should be. It should be 0%. But their whole motto is nobody should freeze to death in America, and especially if you're a veteran who fought for our country. they're out there trying to find them and save them. So that's what this whole book is about. Now, not only do they suffer, from in the cold, but this book in particular touches on something very, very personal, and it's something that a lot of veterans and even first responders deal with, which is PTSD. Now, I don't suffer from PTSD, so when I was helping create this book, I had to talk to them, and I had to talk to a few other people that suffer from PTSD and have to live with that every day. So in the book, you're actually going to get to see a homeless individual, what they went through during wartime, and now they're homeless, and what PTSD looks like to them versus what it looks like to us when we're walking by them and they may have an episode. And, we're quick to judge, but we don't know what's going on in their mind. And yes, I put a face to PTSD. His name is actually Petey in this, just to kind of keep it a little lighthearted, but the message still gets through. So that's the Blue Coat Missionary. We're actually in the midst right now of working on a children's book, um, talking about sort of where he gets his power and all that. But right now, this is one of the most powerful projects that I've ever been on, and it's not even because of the artwork or anything. It's literally because of the drive behind why we created this book. Why is there this need in America these days? So I always tell people, if you can buy it from me, that's fine. But if you actually would go to the subzeromission.org, they actually have it there, and that money goes directly to them. So,
Yeah, and you can attest to this because I reached out to you and I said I would like to get one of those books for a friend of mine because
mm,
I have a very good friend that suffers from PTSD, and he's a veteran and everything too. And what did you tell me? You told me the exact same thing. You said I can sell it to you, but I'd rather you go there because that way they get the profits.
yeah, yeah, I'm all about helping them because I mean they do so much. Now, what's really cool about them is they will go out, start. I believe they start in October and they end on the first day of spring, and that's their season. Now, right now is their off season, so it's donations. So right now they normally host all sorts of different, golf outing. I think they do a motorcycle run and all that stuff. But I tell them the easiest way that you could support them is go to their website, click that donate tab, and donate monetary because they're going to be able to dictate where that money goes. Because I've seen their facility. They walked me around it, and it's a decent sized building. It's about the same size as my house, which is just a little ranch house, but it has so many more sleeping bags than I've ever seen in my life. They showed me their shoe room, and the boots that they have are ridiculous. And they show me their bags and bags of socks that they've gotten donated. They're not used either. These are all brand new stuff, and that's what I try to I want to iterate. They don't just get hand me downs and get no. They have a lot of brand new stuff that these people are donating. So they're really helping out. And they tell me that I'm like, wow, you guys are really stocked. He goes, yeah, but when they were actually about ready to start their season, they said, well, this will all be gone by the end of our season. And I couldn't believe it that they were going to go through that many items and all that. So they keep a running tab of what they have on hand. So if you donate monetary to them, they're going to be able to dictate like, okay, our need right now is socks. Our need is sleeping bags. Our need, because they actually will also pay homeless people to make their coat sleeping bags. So not only are they helping them, but they're also employing them to help as well. So I mean, they're really doing great things in their area and everywhere else. I know they have a station in Youngstown as well called the Blue Coats, I believe is what they call them. But they're just looking to help as anywhere they can. They literally go on tour to all over to help out.
That is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's going above that regular passion that's put into the indies and everything. This is actually a selfless effort. I mean, it's amazing what's put into that. Now, I've got to ask the question
Mhm.
because I'm sure others want to know. I definitely want to know. How did you get involved in this project?
So again, it's about who you know. It's about being a kind person and being a real person. If you work with me, you don't get a lot of fluff. You don't what you get. I'm as true and as honest as somebody can come. I have a lot of great friends that I talk to, and they know I will do anything with it for them. They will do anything for me, and that's just the way we are. Um, I have a friend who tagged me, and the thing is, he's not even really a close friend. It's just a guy that we used to do game night with before everyone got kids, and when we dispersed, like we haven't seen each other for almost 2 years now. But he tagged me in a post because the owner Al was looking for a comic book artist, and they thought of me, so they tagged me, and Al and I got in contact, and he'd asked me if I could do some character sketches for him, and I did. Um, I drew Blue Coat for him, I drew Shivers for him, and I drew Death, and they absolutely fell in love with it immediately. So I quoted what the project would be, and we sort of worked together. And the biggest thing that I can hammer home is once I told him, okay, here's the schedule of what I'm going to be able to knock out a week for you. This is how it's going to work, and I delivered. The delivery is the biggest part on these projects. So after that, I mean, he trusted me. I mean, the minute that a page was done, I was sending it to him. If they needed something revised, I got on it, and we just the flow. It was probably the fastest book I've ever turned around, and I'm so happy with the artwork. And not only I did all the artwork, I did the inks and colors, lettering and formatting, and then I helped self-publish so they didn't have to pay a huge publisher to try to get this printed.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. I mean, like I said, you sent the Prowl PDFs to me. You also sent this one as well.
Mhm.
And going through it, it's not one of those that you're sitting there going, when does it get to the good stuff? I mean, you're actually involved in what's going on with it.
Mhm.
And it starts you off at square one. It's not one of those where you jump in and you have to have a physics degree to figure out what they're talking about because there's big
Right.
words and all. No, it doesn't do anything with that.
Mm.
It actually breaks it down to a lower level so you can keep up with it. And so you can kind of understand what people are going through. I don't suffer from it either. Like I said, I have a good friend that does, and I've kind of had to learn, but this book is really good because it kind of teaches that. Now, again, asking you a question on this, as far as the project itself, if there were other artists or if there were other store owners, anything like that, that wanted to go ahead and get this to sell, would they go ahead and get with Sub-Zero directly to go ahead and do that? It would be the best way.
Yeah, I would absolutely say contact Sub-Zero on that because they're the ones that have all the bulk of the inventory. I only have a handful of copies, so I definitely could not be able to supply a store. But I know that they would absolutely be able to work with them on, maybe a wholesaler rate or something like that, and try to sell it. And if any store does end up picking it up and they want signed copies, they could happily send them to me. I'll sign them or even remark a few if they wanted. I'm also eligible to send to CGC and CBCS to get their signature series or the yellow label. So if they wanted signed copies of this as well, just as for a collector item, I mean, we can happily accommodate all that stuff.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, that friend of mine, he's a veteran and everything. I could see where he would actually get it and want it signed and want it where it's going to go through CGC or CBCS.
Mhm.
I mean, I could definitely see that where he'd want it slabbed.
Yeah.
Uh, it is it's an amazing project. I'm actually at a loss for words, and I mean, you can ask my girlfriend. She says I talk too much, but I'm kind of at a loss for words because you hear a lot of people get up here and it's always buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff.
Mhm.
Whenever you were on the online con, you could have gone ahead and set it to the side and said, you know what, I'll do this whenever I get back into the cons and I'll really push at that point. But you didn't.
Mhm.
And that meant a lot as the co-host that was on there at the time, because I saw that you were actually promoting above yourself, which was great.
Oh yeah.
And you've brought up many times tonight about the integrity issue, and that is huge in this industry. That's huge in humanity. It should be huge in humanity more so than just the industry.
It is, and it's really sad too because I was talking with an author that I work with. I actually will have a thing with her tomorrow, but we talk about how you can either be an advocate for somebody or an adversary. And when she said that, like it really hit me. Like there is, we're all part of this huge pie. We're all at this one big birthday party together, and we're all afraid we're not going to get cake.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of cake to go around. You just
Yes.
have to wait for it, or you have to work for it too. Um, Stepping over somebody or downgrading somebody's work it's not necessary. You know, I will be the first to say, hey, I'm booked, but I know somebody who could absolutely use the work. So hit them up. Or, you know, I've had people do that for me. But I've also had the other side where people have tried to undercut, but it always backfires. You know, it's
Yes.
and people like that, you know, this is such a small industry. That's the weirdest thing for me, right? I started in this industry looking up to these guys. You know, Greg Capullo. It blew my mind because that not everyone likes him for his Batman or
Mhm.
his Spawn. I like him for a completely different other reason. My favorite band is Disturbed, and he
Mhm.
did the cover art for the 10,000 Fist CD.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love that, and
Yes.
he was at him and Scott Snyder were actually at Cincinnati Comic Expo, and I was setting up my table for day two, and I look up and it didn't register right who they were because he didn't have his sunglasses on, but he walked by and they paused and they looked at I had my portfolio open. He looked and goes, "Hey, that's nice." And he looked and nodded and walked away. And I went, "Oh," and then like it dawned on me, like, "Oh my god, that was them!" Like it blew me away. I've had Todd Knock. He was walking me around C2E2, introducing me to people. This is the guy that I got started learning how to use Copic markers off of because I just wanted to learn. And
Mhm.
here, this big name in the industry is acting like we're best friends. Show me around. I mean, that's integrity. You don't know who knows who. So if you go and screw somebody over purposely, your name is going to get soiled fast, and that's
Exactly.
terrifying. Plus, I don't like that on the inside. I try to be as honest as possible and true to people. So if there's somebody that I know is struggling, or if there's somebody that I know who could use the help, I'm going to be the first one to share their stuff on my page and try to get them as much work as they can too. Because in the end, we're all in this together. There's no competition. Even if someone did have a werewolf book that they were trying to publish, I would be the first to say, "Hey, let me see it. I'm excited. I'll
Mhm.
support it." And just like I hope they support me because we all have enough shelf space. There's enough fans out there. If they're a fan of a werewolf book, doesn't mean that I only want them to like Prowl. No, you can be a werewolf fan altogether and read as many books as they want. Just like zombie
Exactly.
books. I mean, how many zombie books are out there? Walking Dead may have the biggest chunk of the market right now, but there's still people producing cool books and there's people buying them up left and right
Mhm.
because it's something new. So, you don't screw people over. That's a
Exactly.
no-no.
And in going along with that, your integrity is paying off because it seems like you're going and moving straight into your future. So I want to ask, what's coming up in the future? What can we see coming from you in the future?
So there's a lot coming. All right. I nonstop work and I've been called a workaholic numerous times. And what they don't realize is this is fun. I love this, right? And it's a field where I'm I enjoy it. So currently I'm working on volume two of Prowl. And as I mentioned, it's going to have chapters instead of issues. Um, then we're going to be moving right into a one shot story that is near and dear to my heart about basically the result of distracted driving. If you notice a theme, there's reasons, deep meanings behind a lot of stuff that I do because I feel that stories can have a lot of big impact on people. So there's one that's going to be coming about distracted driving. It's going to be a thriller. It's not going to be horror. It's not going to be scary, but it is going to be suspenseful. Um, then I'm actually currently working on. I just wrapped up Leave on the Light 3 through Antarctic Press. I worked on Blackjack through Antarctic Press, which is going to be in their collaboration book called Action Comics. Um, then Erica, Martin, and I are going to be doing a collaboration on a couple comic books. I just wrapped up two book covers for her. One not even like 2 hours ago. I just wrapped up. So yeah. And then I also have a couple other mini series that I'm going to be starting. One's going to feature a Yeti. I'm excited about. So there's nonstop stuff coming that I'm real excited about.
Well, and that's great. I mean, you've got that forward momentum going for you, and you definitely show that you've got a foundation set up and you're running it through integrity. You can't do any better than that.
Yeah, thank you.
It seems like it's working great. I will say that we're going to have everything listed as far as all the links down below whenever we're done with this. What I want to go ahead and say now is, do you want to go ahead and audibly say what links where we can find you, where we can get a hold of you, where we can find the Sub-Zero, all that?
Yeah. So the first and foremost one is the Sub-Zero mission book that I want to put out there. That's going to be subzeromission.org is their website. You can find the book there. They actually have challenge coins. They have awesome shirts and hoodies and hats and all sorts of stuff that all the proceeds go to benefit them. They also do take up donation. So I will highly push them to help them out, because what you sow into there only goes out and helps others. As for my work, you can go to midnight27studios.com and check out the store tab. You can find the Prowl books there. You can find Zombie Office there. A couple other little mini stuff that I've worked on, like one is called Steam Age Wasteland, where I have a piece in. I have a book from Echelon Graphic Novels that I helped ink. I have a few, my only artist proof cards left from Upper Deck. Once they're gone, they're gone. And I have my prints available, and there are donation tabs there for art funds and Comic Cons, because some of that stuff's just not cheap. So I always love the support and will also help out there. You could also go to the Art of Adam Fields page on Facebook. That is where I do all my live streams, and I do an amazing giveaway that I look forward to every month. So you had mentioned that you have a badge at Kickstarter. It actually pays off if you have a badge on my page. It's the top fan badge. At the end of every month, whoever has a top fan badge, I do a random drawing and I pick a name. Doesn't matter who has it, whoever wins, they get a free 5x7 sketch of a full color piece of any character of their choice, free, completely as a thank you for just supporting and following and being active on the page. So I've been doing that now for almost 6 months, and I enjoy it every time because the requests are getting way more fun. The last one I had to do was a Macho Man Randy Savage Grey Hulk.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
that was fun. And actually, I had a fan who won. He didn't want the piece. He actually gifted it. So I was able to do a request for him and ship it to somebody who was completely unexpecting. So to be a part of that kind of gesture is an honor.
That sounds great. I mean, that definitely. I mean, if you're looking for quality work, this is your guy right here. If you're looking for some amazing original art, this is your guy. If you're looking for great books on there again. If you're looking for the Sub-Zero, you need to go to their site. I'm not
Yes.
taking it away from him on this one. I'm telling you to go to there, because that way they get the pure profit. The coffee's
Yep.
starting to wear off now, and they will go ahead and make it go to where it needs to go, and everything will be a lot better in the world if more people did this. I'm just going to go ahead and leave that with that. Now, that being said, we've had a great time tonight. Adam, I have greatly enjoyed this, and thank you for being on here tonight. I'd like to have you on as a return guest later on if you'd be interested in doing so.
Absolutely. This is so much fun.
But yeah, we can, yeah, absolutely, man. We've had a blast with this, gotten a lot of information out there. We're gonna go ahead and call it a night for now, but we'll definitely bring you on next time. So we'll have everything set up on here, and if anybody has any questions, either get with Adam directly, leave some comments on the streams you'll be seeing on different shares on there, and always share it out, get more information out there. Adam, we will see you next time.
Thank you so much.
All right, Adam Fields was on here. Now, I always have a closing statement, and I always base it off of what's going on. I never script my closing statement. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there right now. My closing statement for today kind of goes off of a lot of different factors, but this man right here actually pulled it off in the best way. Integrity. This business is all about the passion that you put into your books and into your work and into everything you do. The integrity you put into it will show the person you truly are when no one's looking. So when no one's looking, are you okay with what you're doing? Are you okay with what you're sharing, promoting? Are you okay with what you're trying to pass off as your work? Are you okay with aligning yourself with people on there that may or may not be the best for your business. It's integrity. So, being that you don't know who you're with, what's going on, yeah, you can do your research as much as you want to about the other person. Maybe it's time you start doing more research on yourself. It's integrity. And as far as I'm concerned, this man has it. That's another one down. This is Demon Phil, Comics More New Jersey. We're signing off. Keep it indie, y'all.